Alright, so I got three three IEMs in. So as you can see that I finally got the Tripowin Mele. Then I got these two new guys, the KZ EDX Pro and the KZ ZEX. I told one commenter last time I did a video that I'm not gonna buy the EDX Pro, but I eventually bought it just for kicks. And let me tell you, it's actually good. Like, I actually really like it, and I much prefer it over the original EDX. And I'll tell more about it in this video. Same with the ZEX. Since I already had the CCA NRA, I figured I didn't really need this, but I bought it anyways, and I'll give my thoughts on it, as to what I think about it. But yeah, okay. So we're gonna start with the Tripowin Mele's by co-tuned by Bad Guy Good Audio Reviews, and I think he did a spectacular job with these ones. Like, probably the most satisfying part, or like the most interesting part for me in this whole package, is just how good it fits in my ear. Like, the ear tips that it came with are these ones. Like, I haven't replaced them, I haven't tried the other ones, but this came from the tips that are currently installed on these are the very same ones that came when the box arrived, and they just fit so well. Like, I like how perfect it is for my ears, and I also like how the wires are although they are a bit preformed, they're not, they're very, they're still very flexible, that it doesn't hurt. Like, it's also, not to mention, it's also kind of soft, which is really good for my skin, for the skin. Like, it doesn't hurt my ear area at all, which is such a plus for me. Overall, like, hardware wise, these just feel so good, and the cables, fucking godsend, my man. Like, it's really good. Good job, sir, BGGAR. Now, as for the sound, BGGAR said that these are supposed to replace the BLON BL03s, and from how I understood this, from my opinion, I don't think it provides the same tuning style the BLON BL03s do. Like, it's okay, but it's not, I don't think it's a BL03 replacement, because with the BL03s, they give off this feeling that you think has a very wide sound stage because of the quality of bass it provides. And don't get me wrong, the bass on the Mele's are really nice. It's just that because these focused more on the mids, the upper bass to the mids to the highs, and less on the bass, I think it lost its purpose, which is supposed to replace the BL03s. So I don't think these two are supposed to be compared to each other anymore. That's how I see it. But yeah, regardless, these IEMs are really good. I highly recommend them. Considering if you're not that much of a bass guy, you're like me, someone like me who really likes my tuning where the mids are the focus of the IEMs, I'd rather tell you to get the Mele's over getting BLON BL03s. Also, considering how much I already spent on the BL03s, I think you should just go straight to the Melees because at least their hardware is infinitely better than the BL03s. Like you can already see it. Like I changed my ear tips, I changed my wire just to have a pleasant experience with the BL03s. But for the Melees, I didn't even have to change anything. Not even the ear tips, man. I think they're spot on with just about everything. As for the music that I used on these ones, I'm currently listening to Turnstile. I think their biggest song right now is Holiday, and they're really good on this one. I think you can definitely enjoy something like Rage Against the Machines because I think that's one of Turnstile's inspiration for the music. So if you're something like a rap metal guy who listens to Rage Against the Machines and Turnstile, you'll definitely enjoy your music more with these than the BL03s. So the next IEMs in questions are the EDX Pros. And let me tell you, man, how surprised I was with these. Earlier I said that I wasn't supposed to buy these when a commenter told me that I should review this instead also. And I told them no because I really hated the original EDXs and I wasn't expecting much from these, but man, do they sound so well. If they're still being sold in your area, both the original EDX and the EDX Pros, for me, just go to the EDX Pros, man. Hardware first. The main difference is they finally moved to this kind of wire. Like I think it's wrapped in rubber or plastic, and I think because of that, these are inherently more comfortable than the old ones because the old ones wires were bare, so you could definitely feel the roughness of the wires more. But on this one, they're just smooth. They're like the CCA NRA's wire. And I actually on that video I actually told them that I really like that kind of wire because it doesn't scratch my skin. Then as for the IEMs themselves, I don't think there's not much difference. I think there's just this cosmetic difference, which I'm not even sure if it's real metal. I think it's just plastic, but I don't really care because the sound is amazing compared to the normal EDXs. These are so much better for me because I'm not the kind of guy who likes really bright, like very shimmering highs. I really hate that. And with songs like the one playing over here, Fana's Love Supreme, it can be very, how do you say this? It can be very irritating when you have an IEM that's more concentrated on the bright highs. This one, the major difference between those two is, like I said, the bright highs. This one has very subdued highs. It's almost dead in a sense, and I actually like that because in return they focused more on the quality of the bass. Like the bass on these EDX Pros are more punchy and they're more detailed for me. And as for the mids, they became more focused compared to the original EDXs. So that alone gives this for me infinitely better rating compared to the original EDXs. If you're planning to buy, if you're wondering if you're gonna buy the EDX or the EDX Pros, I think you should just really get the EDX Pros, unless you're the kind of guy who is more inclined to getting something that has a more intense V shape, because the original EDX Pros I think is that where the mids are very much recessed and the highs are very bright and shimmering, whereas these ones has better mids and more subdued highs instead. But yeah, that's my take on the EDX Pros. So as for the last IEM that I recently bought, it's the KZ ZEX. And I bought this basically just to compare it to the CCA NRAs, and it's relatively cheap, so it wouldn't hurt my bank account, so I bought it. I bought it regardless. And the main difference is this. I constantly said that the CCA NRAs were very smooth, that it's very bearable to listen to throughout this entire frequency range, but some people might find it to be boring because, like I said, it's very smooth. Whereas the KZEXs have a more exciting frequency because the bass part of the frequency and the highs are more pronounced. It suddenly became a little V-shaped-ish, but I don't really mind because for me the overall sound of the ZEXs I think is more enjoyable compared to the CCA NRAs with the music that I listen to, which is consistently consisting of J-pop, J-rock, and indie rock, math rock, something like that. Yeah. And with that said, I think the ZEXs are a better buy unless you're the kind who doesn't mind the lack of details, because the CCA NRAs are just that. Like, they're smooth. Like, there's nothing out of the ordinary about them. Like, they're just your typical IEMs, I think. Whereas the ZEXs are more inclined to be energetic, exciting. They're definitely a more exciting IEM, and I think they're more fun to listen to. As for the hardware, they basically have the same wire. The stem of the CCA NRAs are longer, I think. Yeah, they're a bit longer, but the body of the KZZXs are thicker. But as for the ear tips, yeah, I immediately replaced my CCA NRAs because I think I said this in my CCA NRA review video that the tips that come with the CCA NRAs are very flimsy. Like, they're too thin for my taste, and they're also relatively shallow, which I don't like. I like my ear tips longer, and in this case I use a different tip on my CCA NRAs. But as for the KZXs, I think they're starting to use this. I'm not sure if you can see that. Maybe not really, because there's this like texture around near the hole of the ear tip, and I don't know what it does, but these tips are definitely better than what came with the CCA NRAs. But yeah, ever since that, I haven't changed anything with the ZXs, and I think I've been using them more than the CCA NRAs. Lately, I've just been using my CCA NRAs as my go-to earphones when I'm drumming, because I think they're the cheapest ones here in my collection, and they're the ones I least care when they break, because they're cheap, and they are currently my least favorite among my entire collection. So there's that. If you're gonna choose between these two, you're gonna get the CCA NRA if you want something smoother or something like an everyday use for any type of music. Then you'll probably use the KZZXs if you want your music to be punchier, more lively, more exciting. That's basically it. I think we're ending the video here. So thank you for watching, and see you on the next video.